At 34, I'd built what I thought was a rock-solid life in the rolling hills of Northern California. Born and raised in Sacramento, I'd chased dreams down to San Francisco, landing a killer job as a freelance illustrator for tech startups. My days buzzed with creativity, sketching logos on my tablet during coffee runs, hitting the trails for evening hikes in Golden Gate Park, or teaching drawing classes at the community center. I was all about that hustle, that forward momentum. Sitting still felt like a sin. My husband Jake was my anchor, or so I figured. We'd met at a local art fair, bonded over bad coffee and bold colors, and tied the knot in a simple beach ceremony in Monterey. Life was golden, until it wasn't. One rainy afternoon in February, I was zooming along the foggy curves of Highway 1 toward a pitch meeting in Big Sur. The roads were slick from the downpour, and my SUV hit a puddle just wrong, hydroplaning straight into a barrier. The world spun in a blur of metal and glass, then nothing. I came to in a hospital bed at UCSF Medical Center, surrounded by beeping machines and doctors in white coats murmuring about spinal cord injuries. The verdict? Paralyzed from the waist down. No more hikes, no more spontaneous runs along the Embarcadero. My legs were dead weight, and so was my spirit. How the hell was I supposed to keep going without my freedom, without feeling the ground under my feet? Jake was there at first, playing the devoted husband. He rearranged our loft in the Mission District to make room for the wheelchair, installed grab bars in the bathroom, and even learned how to help with transfers. We'd share quiet dinners. He'd cook burgers on the grill out back, and I'd try to crack jokes about my new wheels. But the strain showed quick. I'd catch him staring off into space, or he'd snap over little things like spilled water. Then the late night started. "Work's piling up," he'd say, slipping out the door with his phone glued to his ear. I heard whispers of a name, Emily, my old buddy from the gym downtown. She'd pop up in conversations, then in texts I wasn't supposed to see. It escalated. Emily started dropping by to check on me, but her eyes lingered on Jake too long. One night, I wheeled into the living room to find them on the couch, laughing low, her hand on his knee. They didn't even notice me at first. When they did, the excuses flew. "Just catching up, babe." But the damage was done. The next week, I overheard them in our bedroom while I was in the kitchen, the sounds unmistakable. My heart shattered like that guardrail, betrayed in my own home, by the man who'd vowed forever. I couldn't stay. One stormy morning, I packed a bag, called a accessible van service, and rolled out without a word. Left behind the loft, the memories, the life we'd built. I ended up in a dingy one-bedroom rental in Oakland, across the bay. It was cheap, peeling wallpaper, a kitchenette too tight for easy maneuvering, and an elevator that broke every other week. Savings covered the basics, but each utility bill chipped away at my security. Isolation hit hard. Friends called at first, but visits tapered off. The apartment's silence was deafening, broken only by the hum of my electric wheelchair or the distant BART trains rumbling by. I spent days staring at blank canvases, my illustration gigs drying up because who wants a designer who can't even stand to present? Then the envelope arrived. Divorce papers from Jake, served cold via certified mail. "Irreconcilable differences," it read, like our marriage was just a bad business deal. Tears stung as I signed, my signature shaky on the dotted line. It felt like losing the last piece of my old self, the independent woman who'd conquered the world on her own terms. Nights blurred into sobs, questioning everything. Was I unlovable now? Too broken for anyone? The walls closed in, echoing with regrets. I barely ate, surviving on takeout burritos and streaming shows to numb the pain. Hopelessness crept in like Bay Area fog, thick and unrelenting. Until one evening, a knock echoed through the quiet. Not Jake, but his cousin, Tyler, standing there with a bag from In-N-Out and a hesitant smile. "Heard you could use some company?" he said, stepping in before I could protest. I eyed him warily. Tall, with that easygoing surfer vibe, hair tousled like he'd just come from Ocean Beach. "I don't need pity fries," I snapped, but he ignored it, setting up on my rickety table. "Jake mentioned you're going through it," Tyler admitted, unwrapping a double-double. I laughed bitterly. "Yeah, well, Jake's busy with Emily now." He didn't flinch, just met my gaze. "I'm not here 'cause of him. No one deserves to handle this alone, especially not someone as tough as you." His words landed soft, like a lifeline. We ate in awkward silence at first, but the burger's warmth thawed something in me. The first real meal in days without the taste of salt from tears. Tyler kept coming back, uninvited but welcome in a weird way. He'd bring groceries from Trader Joe's, help organize my overflowing mail pile, or fix the jammed window that let in drafts. At first, it pissed me off, reminded me of my helplessness. "I'm not your charity case," I'd yell after he reached for a high shelf. He'd pause, hands up. "This ain't pity, Sarah. It's what friends do. You've been knocked down, but I'm not letting you stay there." "Sarah." Wait, that's me. I'd forgotten to introduce myself in this mess. His persistence wore me down, revealing a guy who listened, really listened. He'd share stories from his road trips up the Pacific Coast Highway, pulling laughs from me with tales of flat tires and funky motels. One afternoon, over tacos from a food truck he'd wheeled me to, he lingered by the door. "You're stronger than you know, Sarah. Don't forget that." A flicker of something warm stirred in my chest, the first since the crash. It scared me. Could I trust again? He suggested small changes, like adaptive exercises. "Brought these resistance bands. Let's work those arms." I rolled my eyes. What's the use? I'm stuck like this. But I tried, grunting through reps until sweat beaded on my forehead. When I quit in frustration, he grinned. That's progress. Baby steps, right? We built routines, morning workouts, afternoon sketches where he'd critique my drawings with genuine interest. Then he pushed for outings. "Let's hit the boardwalk in Santa Cruz." Terror gripped me. "People will stare." Let 'em. They're missing out on seeing a badass in action. The sand was a nightmare for wheels, but Tyler helped, laughing as we got stuck. Whispers followed, but his hand on my shoulder steadied me. "Ignore the noise. Focus on the waves." We shared cotton candy, his jokes making me snort laugh. Victories piled up. I joined an online art collective, started freelancing again, even tried chair yoga at a studio in Berkeley, feeling my upper body stretch and strengthen. Doubts lingered, though. Was this fair to him? After a class one evening, as fog rolled in, I asked, "Why me, Tyler? You could have anyone." He stopped, eyes serious under streetlights. "Because I see you, the real you, full of fire and talent. The chair? That's just logistics." His words pierced the armor I'd built, seeing past the paralysis to the woman inside. The spark between Tyler and me grew, flickering like the string lights we'd hung on my tiny balcony to make the space feel less like a cage. It wasn't just his kindness, though that was plenty. It was how he saw me, not as a burden, but as Sarah, the artist, the fighter. We'd spend evenings sketching together, him doodling terrible stick figures on scrap paper while I worked on client logos. He'd tease, "You're making me look bad with those fancy swirls." And I'd laugh, the sound foreign but welcome after months of silence. Slowly, my apartment transformed from a prison into a haven, filled with takeout containers, half-finished canvases, and his easy grin. But the ghosts of Jake lingered. Every time Tyler's hand brushed mine, guilt twisted in my gut. Was I betraying some leftover loyalty to my ex? One night, over pizza from Zachary's, I blurted it out. "Tyler, this feels wrong. You're Jake's cousin. What if I'm just a rebound for you?" He set down his slice, eyes steady. "Sarah, I'm not here to fix you or prove a point. You make me feel alive, like I'm part of something real. Jake doesn't get to dictate what we feel." His words were a balm, but doubt still gnawed. Could I let myself fall when I'd already crashed so hard? Tyler didn't push, but he didn't back off either. He'd show up with coffee from Phil's, suggesting new adventures. One day, he convinced me to try an adaptive art workshop at a community center in Alameda. "You'll crush it," he said, wheeling me through the doors. The room buzzed with artists, some in chairs like me, others not. I hesitated, but the smell of paint and the hum of creativity pulled me in. I sketched a vibrant mural design, losing myself in bold lines and colors. Tyler watched, pride in his eyes. "Told ya," he whispered as we left, my sketch pinned to the workshop's wall. He kept nudging me toward life. We'd hit Lake Merritt for slow rolls around the water, him pointing out herons while I griped about uneven paths. He'd laugh, "You're tougher than those potholes." One sunny afternoon, he brought a picnic, BLTs and lemonade, spreading a blanket on the grass. As we ate, his fingers grazed mine, lingering. My heart raced, but so did my fears. "You deserve someone who's whole," I said, staring at the lake. "Not someone who's this." He turned my chair to face him. "Sarah, you're not broken. You're complex, real, and I want all of it. You make my world bigger, not smaller." His voice cracked, raw with honesty, and something inside me shifted. Then Jake showed up, unannounced, like a storm cloud. I was in the apartment sketching, when a pounding at the door startled me. Jake stood there, eyes flashing when he saw Tyler inside, stirring soup on my stove. "You're kidding me," Jake spat. "My own cousin? You're moving in on her now?" I wheeled forward, anger flaring. "You lost that right when you chose Emily. You left me, Jake." He sneered. "You're playing the victim card hard, huh?" Tyler stepped in, calm but firm. "She's not the one who walked out. You don't get to judge her for living." Jake's face twisted, and he stormed out, slamming the door so hard a picture frame fell. The fallout hit me hard. I pulled back from Tyler, answering his texts with one-word replies, dodging his visits. "I'm wrecking your family," I told him when he finally cornered me at the apartment. He knelt beside my chair, eyes fierce. "My family's not your burden. I choose you, Sarah, because you're worth it. Don't push me away to protect me. That's my call." His words broke through, raw and undeniable. I'd been so scared of being hurt again, I'd almost shut out the one person who saw me clearly. By the time we sat on my balcony again, sharing takeout from a Thai place down the street, I was ready to let go. "Tyler," I said, setting down my fork, "if we're doing this, I'm all in. No half measures." His face lit up, brighter than the San Francisco skyline at dusk. "I've been all in since day one," he said, squeezing my hand. For the first time in months, I felt not just seen, but wanted. Wheelchair, scars, and all. Life with Tyler unfolded like a fresh sketch on clean paper. Tentative strokes at first, then bolder lines as we found our rhythm. We started small, turning my cramped Oakland apartment into our shared project. He'd come over after his shifts at the auto shop in Hayward, tools in hand, widening doorways, and installing a ramp to the balcony. "Teamwork makes the dream work," he'd say with that goofy grin, quoting some old motivational poster. I'd roll my eyes, but secretly love it, feeling useful as I directed from my chair, handing him screws or suggesting paint colors, soft blues to mimic the bay's haze. Our dates were simple, fitting our new reality. We'd cruise down to Fisherman's Wharf on weekends, him pushing when hills got steep, me navigating crowds with practiced swerves. Tourists gawked sometimes, but Tyler would lean in, whispering, "They're jealous of our prime parking spots." We'd share clam chowder in sourdough bowls, watching seals bark on the piers, his arm around my shoulders pulling me close. One evening, as the sun dipped behind Alcatraz, he turned serious. "Sarah, you've given me more in these months than I ever thought possible. Laughter, purpose, love." The word hung there, warm and real. I met his eyes, my voice steady. "I love you too, Tyler. You've shown me I can still have this. Us." But shadows from the past crept in. Jake's side of the family whispered at gatherings Tyler dragged me to. A barbecue in his aunt's backyard in San Jose. Cousins shot sidelong glances, murmurs about betrayal floating on the breeze. Jake himself showed up once, cornering Tyler by the grill. "You're stealing my life," he hissed. Tyler stood tall. "No, man, you threw it away. I'm building something new with someone who deserves better." I wheeled over, heart pounding. "Jake, it's over. Move on." He left in a huff, but the tension lingered, straining Tyler's family ties. "Worth it," he'd say later, kissing my forehead. "You're my family now." We adapted, creating our own traditions. Mornings meant coffee in bed. He'd brew it strong, just how I liked, and we'd plan the day over my laptop, me pitching illustration ideas for his shop's logo redesign. Afternoons were for therapy sessions. I'd started physical rehab at a center in Emeryville, gritting through exercises to maintain upper body strength. Tyler came when he could, cheering like a coach. "That's my girl, unstoppable." Evenings blurred into intimacy, careful and tender. The first time we navigated that, nerves tangled with desire, but his patience made it beautiful. "We'll figure it out together," he murmured, his touch affirming I was still desirable, still whole in ways that mattered. Challenges hit, of course. A bad day at rehab left me frustrated, snapping at him over dinner. "Why stick around? This isn't what you signed up for." He didn't yell back, just took my hand. "I signed up for you, Sarah. All of you. The highs, the lows, the in-betweens." His unwavering support chipped away at my walls, teaching me vulnerability wasn't weakness. I dove back into work, landing a contract with a startup in Silicon Valley for app icons. The paychecks rebuilt my confidence, and soon we talked about moving, somewhere accessible with space for both our dreams. One crisp fall day, Tyler surprised me with a drive up to Napa. We toured a vineyard in a golf cart, sipping Cabernet under vine-laced arbors. As golden leaves swirled, he pulled out a small box. "Sarah, from the moment I showed up with those burgers, I knew. Will you marry me?" Tears blurred the ring, a simple band with a sapphire, my birthstone. "Yes," I whispered, pulling him close. No grand proposal, just us, raw and real. The wedding was intimate, a sunset ceremony on Stinson Beach, friends and a few forgiving family members gathered. I wheeled down a sandy aisle lined with lanterns, Tyler waiting in a casual suit, eyes shining. Vows exchanged under crashing waves. In motion or still, I choose you. Our first dance was adapted, him kneeling, swaying gently as music played from a speaker. Laughter mixed with tears, a testament to resilience. Now, in our new home in Berkeley, a ranch style with wide halls and a studio for my art, we've built a life from ashes. I freelance full-time, mentoring young artists online. Tyler's shop thrives and we travel when we can, adaptive gear in tow. Setbacks come, pain flares, doubts whisper, but his love anchors me. "You've taught me strength," I tell him on quiet nights, hands intertwined. "And you've given me hope," he replies. From paralysis and heartbreak rose something profound, a love that moves mountains even if I can't. In Tyler's arms, I'm not just surviving, I'm soaring,